Christian Schaefer. Thanks for joining us here on Facebook Live. And I'm joined by Jana Wolf, who is the Director of the Comprehensive Obesity Management Program at GBMC. Thanks so much for coming in.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you.
We've been having this great discussion in the back before we came out here. We should have just done the Facebook back there.
Right.
Because there's a lot to talk about with this issue. And the reason we're doing it now, I think, is because people made those New Year's resolutions, maybe to eat better, maybe to exercise more. And we're getting to that point now. We're a few weeks into the new year.
Kind of slides down.
Starts to slide.
Yeah.
Is that what you've seen in your experience as well?
Yeah, I mean, even when you go to the gym, it gets really packed in the beginning and then it kind of wears off. But I think what ends up happening is people start with these big, lofty goals that aren't maybe even goals per se. They're just like, I want to lose weight. I want to be healthier. I want to save money. I'd like to go to the gym, maybe. And then you have to think, well, what are the steps to actually get there? So you need these concise, smaller goals to get to the big, lofty goal.
Is it too late? Are we allowed to start doing that now?
Absolutely
Just because
not.
it's not December 31st anymore.
No, you have your whole life.
We can do this now and make it a February resolution.
Absolutely.
Okay, we can do that. We're allowed to do that.
Yes, and actually, just to make a little plug, you know, I'm from the comp program, and our two head surgeons, Dr. Bello and Dr. Dovek, they are performing a challenge this February, Comp Fit Feb, and we're putting together a meal plan, and they're going to be actually using the meal plan that's similar to our bariatric patients, our weight loss surgery patients. So I always tell people, look to social media for help, look for inspiration there and the people around you. There is a social effect when it comes to health. So if you surround yourself by people that are performing those habits, it might stick.
Do you think it might get you to continue with whatever program you're on?
Absolutely.
So the big question is, and everybody's going to ask you this question, what program should I be on? And does it vary for each specific person, or is there something that might work for a lot of different people?
I think anything that you do is good. Any changes that you make that are benefiting your health are going to be good. But everyone asks me, like, what diet should I be on, or what program, like you said.
Once they hear what you do, they must ask you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, every day. But really, the only diet or the only plan that works is the one that works until it doesn't work. So we often hear about the new keto diet, the paleo diet, whatever diet. Yeah, they all work until they don't work anymore. And then you have to go back to a balanced, healthier diet that consists of your veggies, your whole grains, and your lean proteins.
What causes people, if they were to start something like that, what causes them to go off it? Are special diets like that difficult to maintain, or is it just human nature where we go back to what we normally do?
If they don't align with your social life, if they don't align with your own personal life, if you have to pick up really fancy, high-priced items, if you just don't feel great on the diet, or if you lose weight and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm done, and then you go back to old habits. There's tons of things, stressful events. I mean, you name it, it could be anything that steers you away from the healthier eating plan.
Katie mentions the keto diet, so working on it, and she's wondering if it's going to have an impact on her cholesterol level. So there's all kinds of issues when you go on a diet like this. You have a goal, maybe you want to lose some weight, maybe you want to feel healthier, but sometimes a diet can also change some of your other numbers that need to be monitored. What would that do to her particular cholesterol
I mean,
level?
you can ask 20 different people and they'll have 20 different answers about the keto diet because there's not enough long-term research on it.
Let me back up real quick. What exactly, when people ask about the keto diet, what's that?
Yeah, so the keto diet.
Because that's what people are talking about a lot.
Yes, and a lot of my patients are actually talking about this too. So if you're out there, then you can listen up. The keto diet is essentially a high-fat, moderate protein, low-carb diet. Okay, so what it does is it sticks you into ketosis, which is basically your brain using not glucose, but fat as the main energy source. So that's, in a nutshell, that's what it is. So you're looking at high-fat items like heavy creams, high-fat dairy, avocados, high-fat meats, etc. Some of your veggies and most of your fruits are out.
Really?
So of course, as a dietitian, I'm thinking, oh God, you're taking out all of these other things, and then your whole grains, your healthy starches, those are all out as well. So you are picking out a lot of the different foods that are actually healthful for you.
Yeah.
Some people swear by it and will do it for the rest of their life, but we don't know the long-term effects of being in ketosis for a long period of time.
Plus, we've generally always been told to watch out for foods that are high in fat.
Yes.
And maybe
high in saturated fats.
Maybe that wasn't the best advice 20 years ago when we got it. Now they're learning more.
Right, it's constantly changing.
But it's difficult to keep up for people.
It is, and there's so much information now on the internet, and a lot of it is like religion. You know, it's like, this is what works, and this was what is going to work for you. Many people are out there trying to make a lot of money as well, so we can't just buy into everything that we hear. You have to listen to your body. You know, when it comes down to it, actually Canada just changed their dietary guidelines, and they're more general. They're like, have several meals during the day, keep hydrated, have a mixture of whole grains and a variety of fruits and vegetables and leaner proteins. Those are the things that we need to know and actually inhibit into our own life. So what ends up happening though is it's not exciting.
Right.
So people want this big motivator. It's like, oh my goodness, that's gonna be a challenge. I wanna do it. But at the end of the day, nutrition and healthy lifestyles, it's not that exciting.
But it's what works.
But it's what works,
right.
Yeah. And it's not gonna happen overnight. It's gonna happen over weeks, months, and years.
A lot of people do tend to want those quick results.
Yes.
And that could wind up being counterproductive.
Yes.
At times.
Absolutely, because when you get quick results, you're likely losing muscle, water weight. You're not losing actually fat. Also with exercise, you know, if you go and burn out doing, 5, 6, 7 days a week at the gym, you might not be able to keep that up. So you have to really give yourself a little bit of leeway when it comes to these changes.
Joined by Jenna Wolf from GBMC's Comprehensive Obesity Management Program. Do you have to have a serious problem as far as health problems with your weight or your health level before you come and talk to someone like you about your diet and making changes? Or is it okay, should people be thinking about that maybe before their issues get to a more serious level?
Yeah, prevention is a really big piece of the whole puzzle, and everyone has to eat, everyone has to move to survive. So it's always essential that you talk to a dietitian. I think everyone should talk to a dietitian because then you can learn what's best for you in your own unique lifestyle. And
in this culture in the U.S., I just always see these statistics and news about the overall population's getting less healthy or even heavier at times. Do you see that in your work as well? And is there a way to fight back on a grand scale like that, or is it just that people have to each individually do the best they can?
I think it's a little bit of both, probably. You can't walk outside or go to even our bariatric weight loss center without passing food places. There's food everywhere, and it might not necessarily be the best food to eat on a regular basis. So, when stuff is so accessible and we are so strapped with time and we have so many responsibilities and the kids have stuff to do and we're not getting enough sleep because of it, and stress levels are super high, then yeah, you have to start planning ahead.
Add it all up and it equals
absolutely.
some problems.
If you can start making smaller changes, like going grocery shopping every week, making sure that you have at least a few meals at home, that you're cooking from scratch.
People are eating more takeout and more fast food than they did in the past.
And we don't know what's in the foods that we're, eating out or dining out with. So of course, eating at home and especially eating with the family is really a big deal in the long run because it teaches us how to enjoy our foods, not eat super quickly.
You might actually get to talk to the family too.
Yes.
How about that?
Yeah.
Concept.
I mean, that's huge,
So at the Comprehensive Obesity Management Program, there are people who come into GBMC and have questions about bariatric surgery. This is something, in my mind, I believe it's grown over the past several years. Am I right about that?
Yes.
It seems like it has. It's become more common. So we got you on Facebook Live right now. It's free for people to just have questions about it, can talk about it, send us those questions. So what exactly in 2019 does that type of surgery entail, both the surgical side and then what's going to change for people's lives afterwards?
Most people, based on their insurance companies, have to go through a series of educational sessions, or our program actually has put together an online educational program that people can go through to learn all of those different habits that they have to change. They have to be on a vitamin and mineral regimen for the rest of their lives because they're essentially eating a lot less food, and that's where we get our vitamins and minerals from.
It's essentially shrinking the size of the stomach. Is that still the case?
There's two different types of surgeries that we do, mostly in Maryland, and it's a sleeve gastrectomy, which does shrink your stomach, or we cut out 80% of the stomach, leaving you with a longer tube versus the actual shape of the stomach. And then there's the Roux-en-Y gastric bypass, where the actual first part of the intestines are bypassed, and the stomach, the new stomach, gets reconnected into the middle of the intestines, where there's you're not absorbing all of your nutrients and you're not eating as much.
It's still major surgery.
Yeah.
In any case, and so it must be just a tough decision for some people who are going through that and have managed to decide this is the way I want to go forward.
Right. And most of the time, the pros outweigh the cons. Most of the people are getting off of a lot of their medications. They're moving easier. They're having these non-scale victories, like being able to cross your legs, walk up the stairs easier, fit into a roller coaster seat, things like that, and be able to actually enjoy life, you know? So those are the real pros that come along with the weight loss, even with some of the cons, such as only being able to eat a small amount indefinitely, and having to follow a diet. You know, this is not the easy way out. You have to follow a diet because, like I was telling you before, the tool of the surgery is 50%. The other 50% is you and what you put into it. So anyone that thinks that this is the easy way out is wrong.
So you really have to be aware of that going in. If maybe somebody was looking for the easy way out, this isn't it.
No, what the surgery does is it gets you to where you need to be pretty quickly, relatively quickly, and then you have to get into gear and keep it that way.
Is it possible to go back, having had the surgery, and still wind up down the road with some of the similar problems that you had before? Because that sounds like tragic to me.
Potentially. Most of the time, if that happens, typically people aren't following up with their practitioners or their nutritionists, and they're usually not following the diet, or maybe something stressful, huge happened in their lifestyle where they go back to old habits.
Is that something you talk about with the people before going in? That,
definitely.
Look, this is all going to change for
you.
Yeah.
And we kind of drive in the point that follow-ups with the nurse practitioner and the dietitian are essential, because that's what keeps you on track.
And that's what they're going to do for literally the rest of their life, having had that change.
And this is why our surgeons are so involved with our patients, to show that this is a commitment, and they're willing to do the commitment as well, but they have to actually step up and really do the diet.
So there's a lot of levels for people to be on before they get to the spot where maybe they're thinking about that type of surgery.
Yeah.
If we're just having a simple discussion with someone who maybe wants to feel a little better, feel a little bit healthier, what's your advice to that type of person who isn't in a, not a serious way, she just wants to feel better about going forward?
Yeah, well, first off, the best thing to do off the bat is to see and talk to a dietitian. The best way to find a dietitian in your area is to go to eatright.org and click on Find an Expert.
Someone might say, having never talked to one before, I know what to cook for myself. I know how to do these things. Why do I need to talk to her? But you're saying that it can help pretty much anybody.
Yeah, and what dietitians often do is they give you the information that's most realistic for your lifestyle, and they are able to create goals with you. This is what we learn in school. And a lot of people, like we were talking about before, are getting all their information online and taking things that might not be reasonable for their lifestyle. So yeah, we teach you how to eat a healthy plate. We teach you how to eat all sorts of different foods. If there's different things that you want to try, we can give you recipes or meal plans for that. And we give you a reasonable amount of calories and protein and what we call macronutrients for you and your particular unique body.
It sounds like, I'll say we, but it sounds like you have learned a lot more in the past 10, 20, 30 years. Like, we know more about food and how it affects our bodies going in. And so we can use that knowledge to make ourselves feel better and healthier.
And we also know a lot more about habit formation. I was listening to a really awesome podcast called Life Kit by NPR, and they talk about the psychology behind habit formation because, of course, like we were talking about before, you can start something, you can have the motivation to always begin, but how do you make those long-lasting changes? So whatever it might be, maybe it's eating more vegetables, maybe it's getting to the gym, I don't know, you have to choose. But it takes about 30 days to form that habit, and you have to do it consistently. So a lot of people will start and never complete that month's worth of work.
It seems like some of the diets, depending on what it is or what advice you're given, you could wind up going against what you feel, what you like.
Yeah.
But I like I like this fast food that I'm having, but you got to know that may not be the best choice for you,
Yeah.
or whatever it is. But there needs to be, it would seem to me, other choices for people to show them how to make that choice.
Well, I always tell my
That they would like.
patients, yeah, I always tell my patients, like every meal does not have to be a party. You know, it doesn't have to be exciting for every single time you eat.
But sometimes
But sometimes
it can be a party.
Oh, absolutely. and it's fun to eat. You know, we turn to food for comfort. We turn to food to socialize, right? Whenever you get together with people, it's always around a meal usually.
Right.
So those times are great. But at the end of the day, for your regular meals, like breakfast and lunch, let's say, and most dinners, should be to fuel you. So you should have a balance of, again, you know, half your plate being your non-starchy veggies, your lean proteins, and your healthy starches.
What about some of, we talked a little bit the keto diet. There's also, over the past maybe several decades, there's been a lot of companies that have formed, you know, kind of jumped up. I don't know if I should name all of them, but some of them have WW in them. Some of them have a system in them. There's all these big companies that have formed that'll sell you a large amount of food that they want you to stay on this particular diet. Do you have any thoughts on those types of methods and whether they can work over the long term?
Yeah, if you're talking to your doctor and you're making sure that these methods or these programs that you're interested in are okay for your, you know, for everything about you, your health history, et cetera, then those are okay. But again, it goes back to what are you going to be able to keep up with for the long term. Let's say you need to lose 20 pounds, whatever. Whatever you do to lose those 20 pounds should be what you do to maintain those 20 pounds. So you shouldn't be doing this crazy diet where you're ordering all this food and then you lose the weight and then you're done. You have to keep up with those, or else you'll kind of go back and do that yo-yo dieting and yo-yo weight loss and gain, which isn't great for the body. The body wants consistency,
right?
Whether it's at a higher weight or a lower weight.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So over time, it could be helpful, but depending on what you do, you need to stick with it.
Absolutely.
Or a healthy lifestyle generally.
Yes, I think that, like I said before, you know, healthy lifestyles, eating healthier, listening to your body, eating consistently throughout the day, getting fluids in you like water. These are not exciting things. These are things that we need to do to survive.
Can I still drink my Diet Coke, or do I have to stick with just water at all times now?
Okay, so we talked about how much Diet Coke you're drinking, which is
Well,
about...
it's not that much.
So let's say this.
More than some, less than others.
Okay, let's say you're drinking it daily.
This is water, by the way.
Yes, this is water. So it's not really hydrating, right? It's more so for either the caffeine or the pleasure of drinking the diet soda. That's fine.
Right.
You can do that if you have smaller amounts of it. So I don't see anything particularly wrong with having like an 8-ounce diet soda if you want one.
8 ounce. That's that little baby can.
Yes.
Those are so small.
This is what you're going to find. A lot of people just say follow the serving size and then you're eating in moderation.
Right. But it's actually, you wind up having more of it than you're supposed to.
Typically.
Depending
if you don't measure it out, usually.
Okay. So from the registered dietitian,
yes,
watch out for the sodas, right?
I would say definitely
water. Drink your water, people.
Most of your drinks should be water.
Most of your drinks should be water. That's a good tip that we've got today here.
Yes. And I do recommend also there are more natural sweeteners like Truvia, stevia, monk fruit sweeteners that are now being used in some of the flavored waters.
There's more people trying to help people drink more water and make it more pleasurable for them.
And if you can drink those, that doesn't usually have any like flavorings or chemicals or anything in there, and it's more natural.
These are good. This is all good advice for me. So I really appreciate you coming in today. Jana Wolf from the Comprehensive Obesity Management Program at GBMC. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you wanted to get across here on the Facebook Live?
I think going back to the caffeine thing, you have an interesting schedule.
It's a little different.
It's very different.
Yeah.
You wake up very early, you do go to the gym, and you go to sleep very early.
Yes.
So a lot of people that I work with have wonky schedules as well. And a lot of times their sleep habits are off. So they might only be getting like 3 or 4 hours of sleep. That's not what you do, but many people do that.
Can that impact your weight as well?
Yes, yes. So it can increase your stress levels, it can increase your cortisol levels, it can mess with your hormones during the day, and it can increase your hunger or decrease your hunger. So you can be, kind of wonky with your whole eating schedule. You know, it's really good to have like 3 meals a day, because then your blood sugar stays intact for the whole day, and you're not eating just 1 big meal or 2 big meals. And oftentimes, if you're not getting enough sleep, it's going to be impacting your diet as well.
Mm-hmm. And you want to maintain sort of a consistent.
Yeah. Remember
throughout the day.
homeostasis back from like 6th
Right.
grade? Yeah. That is what your body wants. It just wants your blood sugar to be normalized. It doesn't want to be low. It doesn't want to be high.
And when you eat a big meal, it's going to spike up and then crash down later.
Yeah. And maybe at some times you do need a bigger meal. Maybe you had a good workout, or maybe you were working all day and you expended a lot of calories and you do need some of that. But at the end of the day, you should be listening to your body and only eating what it really needs, and stopping when you're neutral and feeling satisfied.
Okay. So that could be my New Year's resolution or my February resolution.
Yes.
Less diet soda and more of the water. I'll work on that.
I think that's a great one.
That's a good one. Okay, I like that. Do we have a question?
We do. There's questions about exercise.
Oh, exercise. I hadn't seen. I'm on the Facebook Live, but I'm only seeing some of the comments. Oh, I'm seeing more.
Lisa wants to know what you think about doing exercises like sitting in a chair.
Yeah, different kinds of exercises to get people moving, I guess.
Can I make a blanket statement and
Yes.
just say all exercise is good if you're not
Really?
hurting yourself and you get the okay from your doctor?
Yeah.
So when you are trying to start an exercise habit, you have to think of, what am I going to like?
Right.
You know, exercise should be somewhat
There's a lot
enjoyable.
of different options these days.
Yes. You know, I have a lot of my patients, and even me, going to Zumba classes or dancing. And, you know, I personally won't exercise on my own, so I have to go to a class, you know, of some sort. Also, in our program for comp, we have a Run GBMC program where people get together, they sign up for different races, and they walk or jog on Saturday mornings. So if you can do something with like socializing, you know, a lot of people make really great friends doing this kind of stuff.
And it also maybe keeps you going and motivated. If your
Yes.
friends are doing it, then you'll continue.
Yeah, if they're waiting for you and you're not there,
Right.
well, then what?
Then they're wondering why, and
Yeah.
then you're in doing it as well. Well, there's some really great tips in here, and what happens with these Facebook Live interviews is that they stay up on the WMAR2 News website in perpetuity, so people can find it and talk about it. If you want, send us questions. We'll still take those after, but for now, Jana Wolf from the Comprehensive Obesity Management Program at GBMC, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you so
I really
much.
appreciate it. It's been really nice talking to you.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks for watching. Have a great day.